All right, let's dive right in. We're talking about the state of AI in 2025. And honestly, things are moving at an absolutely breakneck speed. The models are getting smarter, the money flowing in is just unprecedented, and our world, it's changing right before our eyes. So, let's get into it.
So here's the big question we're going to be wrestling with today. On one hand, AI is just shattering every record, every benchmark we can think of. But on the other hand, all that power comes with some pretty serious risks. So are we building a better future with all this, or are we maybe breaking the world a little bit, creating problems we can't get a handle on?
Okay, so to really get what's going on, you have to appreciate the sheer speed of AI's improvement. I mean, it's not just getting better, it's getting better faster. The pace is accelerating. And this first number, well, it really tells the whole story.
So what does this number even mean? Well, it comes from something called GPQA, which is this ridiculously hard test. We're talking graduate-level questions that even PhDs struggle with. And in just 1 year, AI's performance on it jumped by almost 50 percentage points. That kind of leap it's just wild. It's almost unheard of. This proves AI isn't just memorizing facts anymore. It's starting to master real, genuine expertise.
And it's not just abstract academic stuff either. We're seeing the same incredible jump in really practical skills. Take coding. There's this benchmark called SWE Bench, and it basically throws real-world software bugs at an AI to see if it can fix them. In 2023, the success rate was, a pretty dismal 4.4%. A year later, it's over 71%. In just a single year, AI went from being kind of a fun novelty for coders to a seriously powerful tool for professionals.
But here's where it gets really interesting. It's not just about brute force, about building bigger and bigger models. It's about making them smarter, more efficient. Think of parameters as kind of like the neurons in an AI's brain. Back in 2022, you needed this monster model with 540 billion parameters to pass a key test. Fast forward to 2024, and a tiny little model, Phi 3 Mini, with just 3.8 billion parameters, can get the same score. That is a 142 times leap in efficiency. And what that means for you is that really powerful AI can now run on your phone, not just in some giant remote data center.
So you might be wondering, who's actually building these things? Well, the game has totally changed. Because of the insane cost and the sheer amount of computing power you need, it's not really happening in universities anymore. While academia is still doing amazing foundational research, the big, cutting-edge models, they're almost all coming from industry giants. We're talking Google, OpenAI, Meta, Alibaba. And that has huge implications for where the power and the innovation is really concentrated these days.
And whenever you get that kind of concentration of technical power in one place, well, you know what comes next, right? A gold rush, a massive economic gold rush. All those performance gains we just talked about, they aren't just for research papers. They're creating these unbelievable commercial opportunities, and you better believe investors are taking notice.
So just how much money are we talking about here? Get this, in 2024 alone, private investment in just generative AI hit almost $34 billion. That is an 8-fold increase from just a couple of years ago. This isn't just some hot trend, folks. This is a fundamental reshaping of the global economy happening in real time.
And don't think for a second this is just a Silicon Valley thing. Nope. This boom is absolutely global. You look at a place like India, for example, and the AI startup scene is just on fire. Funding is pouring into everything you can imagine, from super serious enterprise security and personalized learning to, get this, AI-powered astrology. I'm not kidding. It just shows you the incredible breadth of innovation that's bubbling up all over the world.
Okay, but here comes our first big reality check. This incredible power, this explosion of money, it comes at a cost, a very real and very steep environmental cost. Training these giant models takes a staggering amount of energy. You can see the carbon emissions for training a single big model have just skyrocketed from hundreds of tons to thousands in just a few years. To put that in perspective, the average American emits about 18 tons a year. So yeah, this is a massive environmental footprint, and right now, it's only getting bigger.
All right, so we've seen the crazy technical specs and the mountains of cash. But let's bring this down to earth. What does this actually mean for you, for your job? I know a lot of the talk is about AI taking our jobs, but the conversation is shifting. It's moving away from that simple idea of replacement and towards something much more interesting: augmentation.
So, what are the experts saying now? Well, as this quote from Barney Glover puts it, the message is pretty clear. Almost every job is going to be augmented by AI. It doesn't matter what sector you're in or what your skill level is. The idea isn't that a robot is going to take your seat. It's that AI tools are going to become a fundamental part of your job, kind of like a superpowered version of Microsoft Office that everyone is going to have to learn to use.
And this isn't just theory anymore. We've got the hard data to back it up. These are real-world results. For example, studies show that when you give a customer support agent an AI assistant, they resolve over 14% more issues every single hour. And here's something really cool. AI seems to be a great equalizer. It gives the biggest productivity boost. We're talking almost 43% to the less skilled, less experienced workers, helping them catch up to the top performers. It's even changing how we work together, with some projects needing almost 80% fewer people to get the job done.
So, it's pretty obvious these new skills are going to be vital, right? But are we actually ready to teach them? And that's where we hit a major snag. You look at U.S. computer science teachers, and a huge majority, 81%, believe AI should be a core part of what they teach. But ask them if they feel ready to teach it, less than half say yes. That's a massive readiness gap, a huge problem, opening up right as this technology is exploding into the mainstream.
And that brings us to the final and maybe the most important piece of the puzzle. With all this power, all this money, all this rapid adoption, we're now in a desperate race. A race to figure out how to manage the risks. How in the world do you build guardrails for a technology that's moving this fast? Because as AI becomes a part of everything, the mistakes and the real-world harm are becoming a lot more visible. The number of publicly reported AI incidents, things like deepfakes, biased algorithms, you name it, it isn't just growing, it's accelerating. It jumped over 56% in just 1 year. And honestly, that's probably just the tip of the iceberg, because most of this stuff never even gets reported.
And we have to remember, these aren't just abstract glitches in a system. They have very real, very human consequences. A woman in the UK is wrongfully accused of shoplifting because of a facial recognition error. That's devastating. The identity of a murdered teenager is stolen and used to create an AI chatbot without consent. Can you imagine the pain for that family? Fake images are used to try and swing an election. These are the human costs of getting this technology wrong.
So this all leads to a massive, high-stakes debate happening right now in the AI world. How do we manage these risks? On one side, you have people arguing for open-weight models, basically making the AI's code available to everyone to encourage innovation. But on the other side, critics are sounding the alarm. They're warning that if you just give this power away, bad actors could use it to create unstoppable disinformation campaigns or, even scarier, things like bioweapons.
Now, amidst all that scary stuff, there is a glimmer of good news. The industry seems to be listening. They're responding to the public pressure for more accountability. There's this thing called the Foundation Model Transparency Index, and it basically scores the big AI labs on how open they are. And that average score jumped from 37% to 58% in just over 6 months. Now, is it perfect? No way. But it is a really clear sign that pushing for transparency is actually starting to work.
And really, that brings us right back to the beginning. The power of AI it's undeniable at this point. We're past the question of if it's going to be powerful. It already is. It's here, and it's reshaping our world faster than we can keep up. So the real test, the defining challenge of our time, it isn't technical anymore. It's human. The big question isn't what can AI do, it's what will we do with it.